everyone, and welcome to Bottom Line with Roni and Byron. We are back this year, 2023, bringing you all the latest news and headlines that you probably know about, and maybe we can give you a little bit more information. So that's what we're going to do on this show. And we're going to start with one of the most talked about situations, I should say, in the country, and it's regarding those Memphis cops, Byron. So we all know that there was 5 cops that arrested, basically stopped Tyree Nichols. It was a traffic stop. Seems like they pulled him out of the car and just started wailing on him to the point where the young man died. And Byron, we're trying to figure out why. There's 5 officers, all African-American, and we're trying to figure out why did these 5 cops do what they did. I'm going to give you the names and going to let you have it, okay? You have Tadarius Bean, Demetrius Haley, Emmett Martin III, Desmond Mills Jr., and then Justin Smith. So Byron, what are your thoughts on this?
It's a real crazy chain of events. It's to me, and I don't know if I've seen some on social media, but I don't know. But it just seems like it's something more to that situation to see all 4 of them just wailing in on the brother. I mean, and to me personally, it was, I mean, this is beyond Rodney King because, the brother died. And it's just, at the same time where it's like we make, 2 steps forward to make 3 steps back. We've spent, the past, 5 years trying to bring awareness to the death of unarmed Black men. And then you've got 4 Black officers that do this. And it just, like I say, it just looks crazy because I don't get it. Like I said, it looks personal. I work in law enforcement, and we've talked about it offline. There's situations where, a person will lose their head. But all 4 and just going in, it was brutal. I'll tell you that much. It was brutal to see. I didn't care to see it. I saw it one time and that was just by mistake. But I don't care to see something like that again. It's just, and to see what turns out of all this. I mean, the investigations are still young. But it's crazy. It's crazy to see.
But when they released that video, which was on January the 27th, they released that video, and I didn't watch it either. I think I saw like a couple of seconds because I didn't want to see it. But my husband saw it, and he was saying how they literally dragged him out of the car, and then the reports are saying you can see him actually just kind of, I guess they're propping him up against a car, and they just kind of left him alone. Even the EMTs there. So I'm picking back off of what you said. I've had this conversation before. I've seen little tidbits. Social media rumors are going around, so I don't know if they're valid or not. But it kind of follows the thought process of this was personal. Now there were some rumors regarding one of the officers may have had some type of I should say something in common with Tyree. And so maybe that was the spark of why this was taking place. So didn't they have a name for that squad? Was it called Scorpion or something like that?
Yeah, something like Scorpion. Yeah. So, and that's another part to it. It kind of makes you wonder, like it didn't seem like they had any senior, leadership within that group, because anybody, that's done things like been in law enforcement for a while, they can, they went through those type of moments. At the same time, it's like with, they still, whatever, they still hot, they upset, and they just leaving the man there. I've been in plenty of situations where, because we, as a law enforcement officer, you'll feel like a person, they all right, or ain't nothing wrong with them, or they're just putting on, and it comes from sports and all that type, it's toughen up, shake it off, that type of mentality. Right. And then you get them to a health care person, and find out, it's something really serious. And you're like, well, I wouldn't have known that. Right. But that's because you're not trained for that. So then to see, like the EMTs and the people involved was dragging the foot on as well. It kind of shows that they, in these that whole department probably got a lot of work to do. Because when people get familiar and stuff, everybody kind of gets that unit kind of things tend to fall off. If the Scorpion team or whatever is in real good relationships with the EMTs and such and all that, we'll deal with them later. Something like that. I don't know, but it's a mess. But
it's crazy. Well, that Scorpion unit, that's what it's called. It was specially designed to patrol high crime areas of the city. And
so they had no problem pulling somebody on a traffic stop.
Exactly. If that's what you're designed to do, high crime areas of the city. So that was the purpose of that. And of course, those 5 young men, unfortunately, were African American, and there were 2 more officers that were arrested. There's one named, this guy last name is Officer Henfield. So he was arrested too. There's 2 more. Ironically, he's white, but he's a part of that Scorpion Unit 2, Preston Henfield. That's his name. And so he was arrested as well. So he's number 6. And then there's 1 more that was also arrested. So, unfortunately, like I said, Tyree Nichols, went through a horrible experience, ended up losing his life about it at the age of 29. So we'll keep you guys posted on everything that comes hereafter about this unfortunate situation. All right, we're going to move on to another topic that people are talking about. It's in the sports world with Albany State. Now, Albany State basically kind of catching some, flat because they actually picked up a recruit, Marcus Stokes, for their football team. And Marcus Stokes had been dismissed from the University of Florida. He was dismissed from the University of Florida because he was singing a song with the N-word in it. And so once that happened, University of Florida dismissed him. Albany State picked him up. People, started, complaining about it and trying to figure out, why Albany State picked him up. So my thought, you tell me what you think. Why is there a problem? If it's in the song and the artist put it in the song, you can't have a disclaimer and say this song is only for Black people to sing. Don't put it in the song. Your thoughts?
So this is the point I've been trying to make. Black folk, we have a tendency to live in this bubble where we think that we're the only people that listen and consume our music.
Right.
These artists since the 90s, since the onslaught of, it was a lot of congressional back and forth with Snoop Dogg and 2 Live Crew and Uncle Luke and stuff like that. Once music went that direction, right? Mm-hmm. And the backlash of it is we're trying a lot of things we do. We try to apply 1963 to 2023, and for that kid, it's 2023. He's got to be somewhere around 17, 18, 19, somewhere in that age. So that means 2001, 2002, somewhere after he was born. So that's a kid that wasn't indoctrinated with the old, racist, white supremacist ideologies, anything like that. That's a kid that grew up with probably his favorite artist, riding around, loving that. When you say what you know about that music, probably know more about that music than you do.
Exactly.
And
yeah.
if they singing the same song and the same lyrics, one of my best friends, how we clicked is we were just hanging out and got to talking about because back when I was coming, it was No Limit and Cash Money. And if you was thorough in it, because No Limit had 1,000 artists, and he started kicking off, he talking about Lil Wayne's first album and this and this. And I was, well, so we started relating, and that's all he listened to. And he's he was 80s baby, So those are the nuances we gotta look at. These kids, they don't see things the way you see it, and if they singing the music, we putting it out there. That used to be. How we talked and how, in certain spaces, we kept that inside, but integration, music, you can't, it's out there. Yeah. And so, I've had a situation, we was back home on a deployment and Little Johnny and Eastside Boys was blasting on the radio. We happy to get home. As soon as it got to that one part, we all got quiet to see what our friend was. And then he said it was like, oh, man, it's all right, man. We just messing with you. But because we get it, you know. So I mean, you know, you can't get mad. Like you say, you can't.
You can't get mad. I mean, if it's in the song,
standard, man.
Yeah, you can't live like that. You have one rules, you know, they don't, you know, we don't want that to happen to us. So my thing is, like I said, he was dismissed from, you know, Florida. You know, he's a 4-star recruit quarterback. That's what he is, Marcus Stokes. So dismissed from Florida for singing, not using it derogatorily towards anybody, but singing the song that somebody put that N-word in the lyrics. So you have to go back to the source. Why is it in the lyrics if you don't want nobody to sing it? So, secondly, then he gets picked up by Albany State and all the HBCU, and people get upset and they rescind his offer. I'm like, well, it's crazy. Now he has been also offered by Alabama A&M, another HBCU. So there's another offer. So my thing is, don't hold that young man, you know, hostage for singing a song when it's in the lyrics, because you go back to the artist, go back to the rapper or whoever wrote the song and say, go back to him. Don't put it in the lyrics. Why are you putting derogatory, you know, wording in your lyrics when you're going to get mad at somebody for singing it?
Yeah, I mean, because they say a lot worse on the song. So that's the only part. I mean, you know, and I like I say, it's just kids these days don't see it the way we see it, you know. And you gotta. Here's another part. If he's that age, I'm under the kind of the belief system that a kid, when it comes to being kind of politically conscious of like who the president is, I put it somewhere around about, you know, 3rd, 4th grade. That's kind of where I started to kind of get conscious of who the president is and stuff like that. So you look at somebody like that once they became, you know, 3rd, 4th grade, and they started really noticing who the president is, throughout from 4th grade, his entire time in school till he graduated was a black president. So you understand, like that concept of how we see black and red and how they would see it's different, you know. And it's hip hop is the most popular thing out there now. I've been at 2 cheer competitions with my daughter and predominantly white kids, and the music sounds just like a cookout. It sounds like the wobble, all them songs, is, you know, and you like, okay, so you can't,
and that's cool. But my point is, like I said, don't have double standards. Don't put it in the lyrics. You don't want
what you put out there, you know. And you can't dictate, like, you want your culture to be celebrated and want it to be. But if you put out the negative stuff gonna get picked up too. So
across the board, everybody's gonna sing it. So but Albany State, you know, new coach. He's a new coach, Quinn Gray. You know, he's the one that issued the apology. He's the one that rescinded the offer from Marcus Stokes, and now Marcus Stokes is looking at another offer from Alabama A&M, which is also an HBCU. So just leave it alone. I mean, don't fault the kid for singing a song. That's all I'm saying. Bottom line, right? All right, let's move on. That's the bottom line. All right, now speaking of college, you know, we also want to talk about this hot topic of the AP African American chorus, which was pitched, and Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida basically struck it down, and now they have revised it. So, but I'm going to let you tell me what's the difference from when they pitched it initially, and what did they remove? What did they take out?
So initially, it had parts in it regarding critical race theory, the queer experience and Black feminism, Black Lives Matter, and so what they did is they basically changed it where it's some of that's still in with reparations, topics like that, but it's in a more of a project format where, you know, students will be able to write a debate or pick and choose, you know, what topics they would hit on, which for those that disagree, hey, that's fine. But the overall course, when you look through each, you know, topic and everything, it's pretty good. I mean, but it's heavy now. It's very heavy. And understand that an AP course you're talking about advanced placement. These are courses that kids that's dual enrolled, 15, 16, 17, and they take these courses that goes towards college credit when they do go to college. So this is not something that like everybody's gonna take.
Right.
But at the same time, it is, like I say, it's pretty heavy. It goes in depth in a lot of stuff. Now, my quarrel with it is it doesn't have anything in there regarding Florida's Emancipation Day. So, that's my thing. When they do talk about it, they talk about 1865, but it jumps right to Juneteenth. Pictures, examples of, Juneteenth festivals and celebrations, and Texas, Philadelphia, etc., but nothing. And this is a Florida AP course, but it looks like it's like a generalized course that they put in, to each state.
Right.
There's not anything about Harry T. Moore in there. There's nothing about, even our own T. Thomas Fortune, some specific stuff that was big and monumental in American history. Yeah, regarding African American. We don't have to have little stuff in there, but the big stuff is not even in there. And that's a big thing going around with the state. So, and my pet peeve with it all is I'm a big proponent of handling things at the lowest level possible. The K through 12, most of our students, most of our, citizens aren't going to go to college. Something that needs to be embedded in the brain housing group from just as knowing who the first president is or knowing the Pledge of Allegiance, that's what needs to be, that's what we should be tackling. But tackling in a way that we know it just as well as we know everything else. That's American history,
So let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, Byron. So, I see it says, and you help me to understand this. It says, Florida officials said the term intersectionality violated Florida standards according to a list of concerns published by DOE. It says intersectionality describes how different kinds of inequality based on gender, race, sex, gender identity, and class interacts with each other. It said that the term, which was first created in the 1980s by Columbia Law School professor Kimberly Crenshaw, which I guess initially first referred to the oppression of Black women. So my question is, why was that necessary for that to be taken out? I mean, I thought the whole purpose of, I should say purpose, one of the, I guess, points of pointing out what happened in African American history is the inequality. So why was that taken out? Do you know?
I think the governor doesn't want anything tying into critical race theory and the conversation about it. Any kind of gateway.
So you don't want nobody. You don't want the accountability to be put on anybody. Is that what he wants?
Here's the thing, and then and it looks like it's tying into when you start getting into gender. It would tie into conversations about transgender and things like that. So I think that's I ain't putting no. I'm not here to defend the governor or even try to speak for him, but I think that's where the stopping point is. Now, another thing to point out, the governor has stepped up the requirement for African American history to be taught in schools, as well as civics, as well as other topics. This is what gave me my lane. So, it's become political when you start talking about critical race theory and these topics. It's become political. Once it gets political, it's going to lose any feet behind it to really get to the root. Right now, I personally believe that discussions like this should be had, should be almost mandatory for psychology majors, sociology majors, criminal justice majors, even business majors, to be like a strong humanities elective, because you need to know the nuance and the understanding of a ethnic group that you definitely gonna have to deal with and market to. So it makes perfect sense to have it in the collegiate level, especially in the undergrad and the postgrad level. But to be perfectly honest, in K through 12 and stuff like that, those are heavy conversations to have. And you got teachers already have a hard enough time trying to hit, just basic reading, fundamental arithmetic, and these points. So I just
right, but a AP course, the kid has an option. If it's not offered, in the high school, that's fine, but it should be offered in college. I mean, for those who are in college, you have a brain to, you have a desire, I should say, to acquire higher education. So therefore, AP courses are a part of higher education. So African American studies, I mean, it should be in that line.
It's heavy. I mean, when you go into it, go into an understanding that you're talking about, and please, and don't take this wrong, but you're talking about we're not speaking. We want something that not just going to hit the 4.0s, the 4.5 GPA students. It's a very heavy conversation with just what's in it alone, because if you really want to have students understanding the everything from the diaspora to understanding the history of all the way from Reconstruction to now. If you just keep it simple,
taken out?
Oh, that's in there. All of that is in. All of that is in. But now he did take out the secondary sources such as I hope I'm pronouncing the brother's name right, to Nahashi Coates. I forget the other sister's name that was kind of the really the fundamental creator of the critical race theory. Took them out.
So help me understand this. Hold on. It says the course topics: freedom is not enough, the early Black freedom movement. That's one. And contemporary debates and new directions in African American studies are no longer listed. That's what it says here. Freedom is not enough, the early Black freedom movement. That's one. And contemporary debates and new directions in African American studies are no longer listed. And then it says Black feminists, womanism, and intersectionality. They have a new title. It's called Black Women's Voices in Society and in Leadership. So I don't know. It just seemed like it's a lot. I don't know. To me, Brian, it just seemed like it's a lot of play on words. So I'm kind of figuring why.
It is. And like I said, I don't know, what's the true basis behind the college, college board and the governor rejecting it. But what they did do is with the change. And like I said, for those out there, I can email you the current framework for the AP course has been changed. The current, those parts that they took out, they left in a sample project, topics where those topics would be debated on, and basically under politics and policy debates. They have affirmative action, Black Lives Matter, origins, impacts, critics, reparations, debates in U.S. and Americas, crime, criminal justice, all of those are in there. And they input Black conservatism, development of ideology. So those topics are in there for debate as but it's not in a portion where it's, going to be a full, lesson format, if that makes any sense.
Okay. I'm just going to wait till they put it together. Then I can look at it. Because like I said, when I was trying to look at it, it seemed like to me, like you guys, you're changing this wording, taking this out. It just seemed like, I don't know. It's just a play on words.
And personally, when you look at the framework and you look at it in its whole totality, it'll be a shame to lose this whole course based on just those few things. Those couple of things.
Because reality is when you're in the classroom as a teacher, you could say it how you want to say it, true or false.
Yeah, teachers have a wide range of ability on how they teach things. But the funny thing about it is, and this is a conversation that I had with the school district, is look, with my battles and struggles with trying to get African American history kind of incorporated and taught in the course of regular curriculum is because of standardized testing, because that is really the fundamental kind of check, one thing that teachers have to hit in order just to keep their job. Educators, principals, districts, they gotta hit these certain things. And when students come in, it's already behind. They have to deal with the nuances of parents come, irate when the kid been failing all year, and then they want, all of that type of stuff. History in its whole, it kind of gets thrown in the back burner. And when they do teach it, they have to kind of, introduce it, do a worksheet or something like that in their lesson plan where it's not getting studied, assessed on Friday, assessed again at the end of the 9 weeks, assessed again at the end of the quarter, and then assessed again at the end of the year to determine whether or not you go to the next grade. So whether or not that stuff fixed, whether or not your child even paying attention to that piece of instruction that particular day, that's all up in the air. You know what I'm saying? And so a lot of it is going to have to be done, you know, at home. A lot of it is going to have to be, you know, when that teacher starts talking about, you know, these history topics, the kid need to be paying attention, not worrying about the next TikTok challenge or who's dating who or, you know, what somebody got on and all that type of stuff. They got to, you know, really be attentive. So it's a lot of, you know, a lot of focus we got to deal with that K through 12. And, you know, we kind of, you know, we dying on the hill on certain stuff that really, you know, because as a matter of fact, that requirement is amped up. I mean, districts have to report every year on what they're doing to you know, teach these topics. And it puts a lot of work on them because, like I said, they still got to make sure, you know, whether it's the FSA or some other form of some standardized test, they still got to meet those blocks, you know.
The actual fast, what we're doing now.
It's still going to be something that's going to still determine whether or not at the end of the day, whether you're effective on doing your job or whether or not you're going to keep it. And it's, like I say, the sad thing to say is, you know, history is really meant for nation building. You know, it's meant to give knowledge of self and pride in the country and the place, the civilization that you come from. And once they get to that certain level, they can.
I was gonna say to that, everybody history should be able to be told. That's all I say. You know,
and it can be, it is. But when you get off into the meat and potatoes, you know, it's you know, definitely at the collegiate level, you need to have those conversations and get off into it. But that course, it could be a AA history 1, 2, and 3, to be honest with you, because it's in depth.
Because it's so much. Yeah.
And that's the point.
The other thing is I didn't want to water it down. That's what I was concerned about when I was taking it. I didn't want to be watered down. So
when you look at the framework, it's definitely it's deep. It goes in deep. And like I said, those few points in there is what they've already made changes to. So you know, it'll be a good thing.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to move on to our next topic. And, you know, we all are aware that we lost a great community icon in Jackson County and the surrounding counties, Derwin, DJ Diamond D, Hazelton. So we are, you know, wanted to do something in his honor, his memory, to honor his memory here. So we're just going to take a few moments and just kind of, you know, talk about, you know, him as a community person, him as, you know, in our own personal lives, our relationship with him and by our relationship with him. We are just so, blessed to have had somebody in our midst that was really, willing to just get in and help. I mean, my experience with Derwin is that, whenever I called him and asked him something, his response was always, "Oh yeah, I can do that." That was this. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, I can do that. Oh yeah, oh yeah, bet I can do that. Yeah. So, I mean, I think I told someone or I mentioned it to some people, but I think one of his last gigs he did was Keesland Sweet 16 on October 22nd. And he did that. And it was very, very nice, very nice. And so I was very glad to be able to do that. Because she, Keesland, like, I want to have my favorite DJ. And I was kind of hesitant, like, it's on a Saturday, Keesland. That's his biggest day. So I don't know, but lo and behold, when I asked, he did it. So we're just so grateful. So again, my days with NAACP, he called me Miss NAACP every time I would go somewhere, but every time we would need him to do something, he was more than willing to do it. I mean, more than willing to show up and do his thing, which was to DJ. So he was definitely, a doer. He was definitely somebody that we could depend on. So, Byron, what's your experience?
Yeah, it's crazy, man. We go way back, and when I remember when the first time I was doing music and I was trying to get my music heard, and I reached out to him, and he had this whole nostalgia, man. Everybody's like, Diamond D, reach out to Diamond D, but I was like, man, I don't know, I don't even know if this brother gonna really even give me the time of day. You know what I mean? And he was, big and doing things in Panama City when Club La Vida was, big, and he was like, yeah, man, I got you. And man, when nobody would help me out, he helped me out. And then when I got to talking to my brother, he was like, man, that's that's my dog. We go way back. We went to school together. And I'm like, man, I didn't even know that. So anytime I reached out to him, he was always, like I said, when nobody would, Diamond D came through for me. And so I always tried to, once I got in a position to be able to thank somebody and really let them know how much I appreciate them, I wanted to do that. And I was I'm happy to be able to create the Derwin DJ Diamond D Hazelton Community Service Award for the Mass President, and be able to, continue that and just let him know in front of everybody, what he meant to me. We may not, be best buds and talk on the phone every day, but, you never know who you inspire and who you influence. And, I kind of take from him, when people ask me for my help with stuff, the first person I think about when I want to say no is I think about him. And,
because he pushed through to help a lot of people.
Yeah, he did. And a lot of people don't realize how strong of a person that he is to be going through what he went through and knowing what he's facing and still keep that smile on his face and still keep going. A lot of people would break. A lot of people would break at that moment, but not him. And I just, I'm blessed. Like I said, I'm blessed to be able to have experienced and had that time with the brother and to be able to let him know firsthand, through nobody else but from my own words to him, what he meant to me. And it was a blessing to have him, and I'll see him soon,
Yeah. Yeah. I just want to let everybody know, if you don't know, he did pass on January 26th, and at the age of 54. He was a class of 1986, at Mariana High School. I knew him, from the band. I was in the band at Cottondale. He was in the band at Mariana High School. He played the tuba. He was a tuba player. So I'm pretty sure Royce Reagan is very pleased, because that's where I think Diamond D really got his inspiration from as far as music. So, which is Royce Reagan was the actual band director at the time. So, but yeah, so I just know that with the tuba player back then. But on the West End community, he was the family oriented person. He was the only child, but he was everybody's brother. So, the West End community really loved him, and he loved the West End community back, and everybody else that he encountered, along his journey as well. So we want to give the times that the funeral services are going to be next Friday, which is February the 9th. That is going to be at RCC, and that time is at 11 a.m. So that is next Friday, which is the 9th. That's the correct date, right?
Yes.
February the 9th? Yeah,
yes.
Okay. At RCC in Mariana, which is Rivertown Community Church, at 11 a.m. And there are going to be some viewings, and that will take place on Thursday, February the 8th, and that will take place at St. James AME. And there's going to be two. The first one is from 11 to 1, for those that can get out there midday for the viewing, just a viewing. And then the second one, if I'm not mistaken, is from 5 to 7 p.m. at St. James as well. So viewing is on that Thursday, February the 8th, and then the services for him is going to be on that Friday, February the 9th. So I want to give our heart.
Thursday is the 9th and Friday is the 10th.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, let me retract that. That's what I was like. Okay, February the 9th is Thursday. I'm so sorry. That is the viewing, and then February the 10th is that Friday. That is his service. Okay. And so our heartfelt goes out to his wife and his children, and his mother and uncle, and all his close friend May. Our heart go out to you. We really appreciate the opportunity that you help him with as far as relating to everybody else as well during his journey. So anything you want to say, Byron?
Yeah, I just want to caveat on that to the family, to his wife, to his sister, and everybody. I give my deepest condolences, but let's not forget. Diamond D meant so much. Derwin meant so much to all of Jackson County, and let's continue his legacy. He's made one. He's definitely made a legacy and a model for a lot of people to follow. And if you could take anything from that, he's not gone. Just the way it just changes. So take that in stride, and man, I just, like I say, it's just a blessing. It's a blessing to be able to experience him, and let's make his home going something that is purposeful and meaningful, and that'll continue. Let's not forget him. Let's not do that.
And let's not forget his family too. I know I've been told there are several events going on in his honor and his memory. Items are being sold. Mm-hmm. So just be sure to look out for his family.
Yeah, make sure.
As a result,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just let's look out for his family. If you're hosting an event or having items being sold or whatever. So he does have a young daughter as well. Mm-hmm. So young daughters, I should say. One is extremely young. So let's just look out for them. Okay. All right. I think that's gonna wrap up our show. Byron, we want to dedicate this show to the one and only DJ Diamond D. And this is done in his memory. We're going to play some footage right now, and we're going to end the show with that. We all love Diamond D. So we'll hope to see you soon. I'll let you know we're going to tape again. But in the meantime, when you know the truth, you can speak the truth. And the light shines brighter when it shines for two.